All right, so today I'm joined by number 9 ranked UFC welterweight Vicente Luque ahead of his fight against Ian Garry at UFC 296. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Good. Pleasure to talk to you.
So I think I'd like to start off right off the bat with the most recent kind of news that's been in the headlines is Ian Garry kind of commented on your baptism post saying that he's going to be Jesus standing across from you. So what are your feelings going into it? I know it was friendly ahead of time, but is it still friendly with you guys or have feelings changed at this point?
I mean, I think it was really unfortunate from his part, to do that. But at the same time, I understand that uh, he's gonna do what he thinks he should do. In a way, I did feel a little bit disrespected because it was an important post for me. But my reaction to that is I'm always gonna keep being who I am. I'm gonna respect him. I respect any opponent I have, any guy, anybody I face, because I know how hard everyone works, and I think that everything's gonna be said and done inside the octagon. So in there, we're gonna go in there, we're gonna fight, we're gonna do business, and hopefully from here on we can keep on being respectful. But if he chooses to be, whatever way he wants to be, that's his choice. It's out of my control, and I don't really care. I'm not gonna take it personal.
Okay. So you're just kind of going to maintain yourself and I guess your morals, right? If he wants to trash talk you in a way, it doesn't sound like you're interested in partaking back.
Definitely, that's for sure. I mean, I've never been a guy to sell my fights by trash talking. I really don't think that's even an option for me. I just think, uh, I don't know. I think it's unfortunate when guys try to, like the media and everything, they try to sell fights like that because, yeah, I know that a lot of the people kind of bite into that, but I think that there's so much more to MMA, so much more to fighting. Me and Ian, we're both beasts. I've have so many great fights. Ian is such a talented guy. We know that the fight is gonna be good just for that fact, just for that matter. So sometimes I don't get why they don't promote that more than all the other, trash talking and everything.
Yeah. So I will talk about the fight a little bit, but I just kind of want to get like a grasp on your guys' relationship as well. Like, did you guys used to train together? Were you super cool or what's like the extent of your guys' friendship, if you will?
Yeah, we did train a lot of times together. So we met back in I think 2021. If I'm yeah, I was gonna be an alternate for Kamaru against Colby, and he was there. That was his first fight. That's where we met, and we always had a great relationship. From there on, we never were like super close friends, but we had a really good. I loved to talk to him. He was a great guy. Always a fun guy to hang around. So that's why all nothing but respect for him. He's a cool guy. Whenever I hanged out with him, whenever I train with him, always a great training partner. Not trying to hurt anybody or anything like that. Always trying to have hard training sessions, but always keep being clean, keep being safe. So all my experience personally with him has always been good and positive.
Okay, gotcha. And did you guys ever hang out outside of the gym, like friendly wise, or more just like relationship just was in the gym?
Mostly in the gym. Mostly in the gym. Yeah, outside we didn't really get to hang out, but still like a nice guy. We talked a lot in the gym.
Okay, gotcha. And just something I haven't heard much people kind of talk about this, but it's something that I've been wondering is like, um, so Ian, he left Killcliff, he went over to Brazil, and then he went over to Team Renegade, and then things didn't work out, and now he's back in Brazil. I'm just kind of wondering, is he allowed back in Killcliff if he wants to come, or is he not allowed back there for some reason?
I mean, I'm I don't really know. From what I've talked to Henry, like it was a choice of Ian to train somewhere else, and uh, you know, when the fight got set up, it was a kind of a tricky situation. How are we gonna train in the same place? And I was here, I was training here for a long time, like nonstop. So it kind of like for him, it maybe made sense for him to choose somewhere else to train. That's why I think that he's not training here. But after we fight, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know if he's cool with Henry and with all the coaches and he's gonna come back here or not. I think that's more, on his side and on his decision. I'm really not aware of what. But I don't think that nobody has like uh, kicked him out or anything like that. He chose to train elsewhere.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I was kind of like on my end, I was just wondering that. So just to set the record straight, it's just his choice not to train at Kill Cliff. If anyone's wondering, wasn't kicked out or
Yeah,
anything like that.
yeah,
Okay, gotcha. And now let's talk about the fight, man, because like you said, this is a, I mean, your guys' skills alone can promote this. So just to kind of recap a little bit, you're 15-5 in the UFC with 13 finishes. You fought guys like Belal Muhammad, you got a knockout win over him. You fought Leon Edwards already. You didn't win, but you know he's a champion right now, so that's got to give you some confidence, right? And you fought other guys too, like Mike Perry, Jalen Turner. I mean, you got a crazy list. Your recent win over Rafael dos Anjos. So how does it make you feel, man? Just kind of knowing like you've got this ton of experience against veterans in the game and people who are a champion right now. Even Bilal is about to probably contend for the belt next.
yeah. I mean, I think that it's a great moment to be fighting, and with all my experience, so I do have the skill. I've been training for so many years, trying to develop all my game, but I feel like the experience right now is here. Now I really have all these fights against many kind of different styles and opponents. I fought shorter guys, taller guys, wrestlers, grapplers, strikers, all kinds of different opponents, and I definitely think that this helps me a lot for this fight, because Ian, he's a young guy. He doesn't have as many fights. That obviously like is less experience for him, but it's also hard to make a read. You don't know what kind of different tools he can bring into a fight. So I think that this experience counts a lot for me. For me to just to be ready for a guy that's young, hungry, and is gonna go out there and try to take me out. So I feel like my experience can help me in this fight for sure.
Right. And are you kind of looking at this as like, you tell me, is it the biggest fight of your life, or because you fought some other crazy fighters in the past? Like, how are you looking at this, I guess, pressure wise, if you will?
I mean, I think every fight, next fight for me is the most important one, is the most important of my life, just because, since the beginning of the UFC, when I started fighting, I've been in a move forward. I did have some setbacks, but the setbacks were like, let's say, challenges that I had to overcome. But I'm still, trucking towards that title fight eventually, and being the champion of the division. So I feel like always my next fight is this most important fight, because it's moving a step closer to that title. So yeah, for sure, I think that this is the most important fight right now. But it's not something that gets like, I don't feel the pressure. I think I feel much more motivation, and kind of like it really hypes me up to go in there and to put on a good fight, to show everybody all the skill that I've been developing, to fight against a guy like Ian that so many people have the eyes on him. I said like he has a lot of hype, but it's not just because of whatever he talks. He is a great fighter. He is very skilled. And that motivates me, because I want to fight against the best, so I can show that I am the best. And I think that's what I get from this fight. Not much pressure in that way. I think that even like, I don't know, even if you could say it's pressure, I think the pressure motivates me in a way. It really gets me excited to fight, to train, to have my training camp, especially after so many fights.
Yeah. Has it always been that way for you, or was there a point in your career where that switched? Like maybe I would probably guess it might be Ultimate Fighter, but you tell me.
Yeah, you would be right. Definitely. I think that before the UFC, in my first fights, had sometimes, struggles with getting nervous, with feeling the pressure. And I think it was a lot of like just not being sure if I was cut out to be in the UFC. Then I had my career outside. I trained with a lot of guys back then in the Black Zillions, and guys that were in the UFC. They kind of, showed me that I did have the skills. And once I got to the Ultimate Fighter, and then eventually got to the UFC, that kind of like turned into being motivated. After I got in the UFC, that's when I really realized, okay, I got what it takes to fight with these guys, to hang, in this, at this level. And from here, it's all train hard, get better, evolve, and keep on fighting and being excited for this.
Right. And like, I guess if you're looking at it from Ian Garry's perspective a little bit, I don't know if he's had that fight yet against like a guy who's kind of like a top dog in a way. So I think this is the first one for him. So who knows if he's kind of battling some of those nerves you used to deal with early in your career, you know?
Yeah, I mean, possibly, I got to the UFC, I was 23 years old. And after a few years, my first fight was a loss. And after that, I picked up a lot of wins. And when I look back, I kind of like, I think it was fortunate, something we don't want to lose. But the fact that I lost fights before getting into the UFC, that kind of got me ready to deal with this in the UFC. And instead of being nervous or dismotivated when I was facing a tough challenge, it kind of showed me that I can always build myself back up. I can always get better. And Ian being an undefeated fighter, yeah, he could maybe, have second thoughts in the sense like, am I ready to face this guy? But at the same time, I know that he is a very confident guy. So I don't know. I never try to predict a guy that is going to be mentally weak. I predict that he's going to be mentally strong and ready to fight the best fight possible.
Right, right. And Ian is a confident young man, undefeated, and that goes a long way with your psyche. You know, he's never tasted defeat. But I'm thinking about the matchup now, and you guys are two. I mean, you're obviously well-rounded, but I would say you lean more towards striking, right? And Ian obviously loves to strike. So how are you kind of imagining the fight playing out a little bit? You guys gonna stand and bang, or obviously you got to be smart, right? So you got to do what you got to do to win.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an MMA fighter, and I've been showing this even more. Like my last fight, I think I showed a lot of development in my fight IQ, in using all of the skills I have. But obviously, striking not only is something I like, but is one of my strongest tools. I know how hard I can hit. I know that I got good timing, good, pop on my punches. So definitely, that's where the fight starts. So I see it, being a striking battle, for a while, especially in the beginning. I want to go in there, feel what I can see. Maybe I see some openings I can explore. But at the same time, if I see openings to maybe wrestle, maybe try something like that, who knows? I know that I have the skill to do that. I know that I could put him in danger there as well. So I will definitely be looking for those opportunities. But when I see the fight and even watching a lot of tape on him and just seeing the way he fights, I do believe I can bring him trouble in the stand-up as well. So I think it's going to be an MMA fight. And more than anything, it's going to be a really exciting fight.
Right. And I mean, you fought a bigger guy in Jalen Turner in the past. So do you draw confidence from that at all? Or how are you viewing like fighting a taller fighter? Do you not mind that in a sense?
Yeah, like I said before, I've faced a lot of opponents in many different, let's say, physical abilities and different body builds. Like Jalen is one, Randy Brown is another guy that really tall, really good with his boxing. And, I it's all about studying, training, game planning, and being able to use the skills, because yeah, it is an advantage to be tall sometimes, but it could also be a disadvantage if your opponent knows how to work his own distance, know how to, kind of create the openings. And that's what I'm going to be looking, and the fact that I've done that against Jalen, against Randy in the past, it's kind of like, definitely kind of helps my confidence in this because I already had that experience. I already fought tall guys. That will definitely help me for this fight. And yeah, I've been studying and working a lot on that.
Gotcha. Just about the film real quick, and then I got two more for you. How much do you watch film? Do you like watch it every day? Do your coaches mainly watch it and tell you? How do you study your opponents usually?
Yeah, so I'll watch with my coaches and I'll watch a little bit on my own as well. And then we'll talk about it. So I'll talk to my different coaches in different moments, like maybe like with the striking guys, I'll go more towards the striking, what are the things that we can explore. Later I'll go to the wrestling coaches and grappling coaches, kind of see the openings he has shown or not, what I could explore as well. But yeah, I like to watch the tape. In the past, like in the beginning of my career, it wasn't something I did. But the longer, the more I started watching tape, and the more comfortable I became with it, and it's really helpful. You really get to know your opponent before you face him, and that just gives you a different look. Even like in the way you feel in the fight, you feel like you know that guy already. And in this case, I do know Ian, so it's gonna be even more familiarity, and I think that, in my opinion, it helps me a lot. It just makes me more aware of who I'm facing, and also perceiving if, let's say, I could see him get tired, I could see him feel a shot or something just by looking at his face. That's something I watch a lot on tape. I try to observe what kind of reads I can get of their expressions, body and face expressions.
Yeah. No, I mean, even Kobe Bryant, he said something where like Phil Jackson, I think, taught him how to study film. And, Kobe originally would just like watch the game, right? But it got to a point where he was watching film for like 6 hours at a time, like a 2 hour game. It would take him like 6 hours to finish it. Cause in between, he's looking at like, oh, there's a timeout. What's this guy doing? Facial expressions, like tendencies and all this stuff. So I hear what you're saying. And that's what like I think separates people too, is getting that familiarity. And then when you come in the octagon, it's not like a shock to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I think that, there are so many variables. The more we can work, the more chances we're gonna get, to get in there ready to get a win. So that's what I try to do. Strength and conditioning, be prepared in all different martial arts, the mental, having a strong mind, having a good diet so that the weight cut is not a big issue, having studied my opponent and being able not only to know technique wise what he's going to do, but also kind of get into his mind, get into this reads, because in the fight is different. Like whatever you talk outside, that might matter. Some guys really get motivated by what they talk. But for me, what I see in there counts much more, because in there, that's when you're in a situation, when you get hit or when you're getting frustrated or tired, that's when I can really have reads of what the guy is thinking, how the guy is feeling. And depending on that, I can make my moves. So yeah, I think that the more tools I have to kind of work around the fight, the more ready I am to go pick up a win.
Right. Even like, just to add a little bit more, is like thinking like, oh, I saw him against this opponent. He was looking really confident. Now I'm standing across from him and he looks a little different. Like just knowing all that helps you out. But I just want to ask you where a win would put you in the division, where you feel like what would be next after a win. And then I just would like to kind of get your maybe a prediction for Leon Edwards versus Colby Covington.
So I think that, that's a big factor for me. The fact that the title fight is the same night. We also have Shafkat and Wonder Boy fighting. So a lot of the division is going to move. And I think that's the biggest thing for me. Like, I feel that the division after Leon beat Kamaru, it kind of opened up the division. There's a lot of possibilities. We have Belal waiting for that title, but we never know. Somebody can jump in front. Somebody can kind of like, just put on a great show and get to that good position. And I feel that a win over Ian at this moment, is gonna set me up to get in that mix of the top 5 and start 2024, chasing a fight that is gonna quickly move me into the title contention. So that's what this fight represents for me. A big opportunity to jump it back into that top 5, and from there keep on chasing the title. And Leon and Colby, at this moment, I just feel Leon is the better fighter, is more, more skilled, living a better moment. He's coming off 2 great wins against one of the toughest ever, champions in the welterweight division. And I just feel like it's his moment. Colby, on the other hand, he's 35 years old. He's been out for a while. I know he has done, great fights after big times out, but it's different now. It's been longer. He's not gonna be facing a guy like when back in the days when he fought Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley was coming off losses. He wasn't in his best moment, So Colby came back and got a big win. But now it's different. He's facing the current champion that just beat Kamaru Usman 2 times. So I feel like the momentum is great for Leon, and I see him winning the fight.
Right. Okay. And sorry, if just two more, answer it as quick as you would like.
Well, good, good.
Number one is, does Colby come back if he wins, or does he retire? And then my other question is, Leon, is Belal next? Because Leon's talking about moving up, or so who's next in that sense?
Man, those are tough questions. So Colby, I don't know. I think it's got to be a lot on what is in the game for him. And if he wins, I think there are a lot of fights that are going to make sense financially for him. So I don't think he's going to stop. I think he might be a guy that has a rough time with injuries. Maybe his body's not the same anymore. But I think that when he sees the fights that he can have after getting the title, I think he would still keep on fighting at least for 2 or 3 more fights. So I don't think he retires. And if Leon keeps the belt, I don't know, man. It would be interesting to see him move up. And if he does move up and tries to get that title, we'll see what happens. But I just feel like at this moment, it would make a lot of sense to have Belal fight for the title. I do think he deserves, if you look at it as a sportive kind of look, he has all the wins against all the toughest guys in the division. He deserves it, So hopefully he does get that title fight after Leon wins. But we'll see. That's going to be up to Leon.
Right, right. No, I agree. I also believe Belal deserves it. He's been through a lot, man, and that's a fight that ended a little prematurely, and I would like to see it be run back. And also, just want to say, I think Gilbert Burns is probably one of the only guys that Colby will fight, other than probably Dustin Poirier, in my mind. So that's your boy. Hopefully he gets that fight if Colby were to win or something like that.
For sure, for sure. It'd be a big fight and a great fight for Gilbert.
Yeah, it would. He's been asking for that one, so I'd be happy to see them fight. And they're 2 warriors, so 2 grapplers. It's a good fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I appreciate the time again. Best of luck in training and in the fight. And I'll be watching, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. And let's go. It's going to be a fun night, December 16th.